Hello, welcome to the Asheville Design District podcast. I'm your host, Chandra Russell, and today I'm joined by special guest Randy Brown. She's the editor of WNC Business Magazine, and thank you so much for being here today with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so real quick, I have to tell the story of how we met, and we've been collaborating and talking about some different things since then. We were at the Woman Up event that the Asheville Chamber does, and they had these cute little cards, and it was like, pick your happiness, I think.
What balances you in your work life? What's your activity?
Look at you remembering all that, Miss Journalist.
I try.
So we both picked traveling.
Yes.
And during one of the breaks, they say, find a couple people that got the same card as you. And we just, got together and we were giggling and talking. And we had Kelly Wendell there, who is also the president of the board for Our Voice, which is the local rape crisis center, and just had this great bond and decided, let's do some more stuff together. So that was special. And I would love you to share with everyone the kind of mission and vision for WNC Business and how you guys serve the community.
Absolutely. So WNC Business is a quarterly magazine, a website, and weekday newsletter with all different kinds of resources, stories, advice, little business announcements. So basically, our mission is to connect, inform, and inspire the business community around Western North Carolina. There are so many cool people doing cool things in this town and in the region. And so we get to kind of deep dive into some different industries and some businesses that are really rocking, and some different support organizations and how they help people in the business community.
Nice.
So we have the online business directory that anybody is welcome to go in, and you can add yourself in, add your business events, add your promotions and things like that. People can contribute pro tip advice articles relevant to the business community, which is fantastic. It's helpful to share your knowledge and your secrets, and that positions the writer as an expert in their field. And what else? Press releases. Anytime there's little announcements, like if your favorite coffee shop down the road is celebrating their 10th anniversary, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about those things too. So all things business all over the region.
Nice. So how many counties do you cover?
22.
22 counties. Wonderful. Yes. And then about per year, how many stories are you guys covering? Is that just hundreds, right?
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds. I think it was in January or February, I hit 1,000 articles on the website, and we started in 2022. It's like midway through 2022.
Wow.
So
Rocking
it's a lot of stories.
Yeah. Love it. So what are those stories that you're kind of on the hunt for? And you talked about everybody's doing cool things. We talk about kind of having an angle, right? It's not just this thing is happening. It's kind of the why this thing is happening, right?
Right. And how it's impacting the community too. It's great that there are so many businesses. And I also like to talk to the owners of the businesses that are impacting the community in some way, shape, or form. I want to know, what is it, why is this industry important? What's it doing for the community? How many people is it employing?
Mm-hmm.
And what are the ripple effects of those things? So, anytime that there's an overarching organization or group that can kind of have, take a step back and look at the bigger picture. I want to know that too.
Right.
Everybody's business is amazing, and I kind of want to look at those and the bigger picture of what's happening in various industries, what's new, what are the newest challenges. Right now it's workforce shortages, AI is coming in and making some big changes, but different kind of things like that. What are the big concerns and challenges, and how are people working their way through them?
Right. Yeah, it's that 30,000 foot and right there nitty gritty details too. And because we, Asheville and this region, we are a leader in some ways, and we are this haven of small businesses. So, telling that bigger story and connecting with the whole region and seeing, are you seeing any certain trends in business? What's going on for 2024, 2025? I mean, what are you hearing around our region, and what are people excited about?
I think people are excited about everything.
Yeah.
I think, it's hard for people to live here, and the economy is challenging. So I think people are kind of interested to see how that's affecting everybody's lifestyle, how people are going to be able to continue to stay here and operate their businesses. I've heard even like large manufacturing corporations that want to hire people and can pay really well, and those people still can't afford a $700,000 house. So I think that's a big concern, but I'm so curious to see what's going to happen in the next after November, to see what happens in that kind of realm.
Yeah. And of course it's pushing out. I mean, the communities around Asheville are just going to continue to grow up. I mean, we've seen Black Mountain kind of, I feel like, explode, but it's just going to keep happening where, not everybody's going to be able to afford to live here. So but the ingenuity is going to take them, okay, well then I'm going to start my small business 45 minutes away.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's happening. And then another big thing a lot of people are talking about, maybe you have some insight, the boomers that want to sell their businesses. And so maybe they don't have children that want to inherit it or, can or whatever. But seems like there's a big opportunity to be like, hey, maybe you're buying a legacy business or business that's been around and not having to, we always love to talk about startups, right? The new sexy thing.
Sure.
But there is something happening with this, there is opportunity to potentially look at business a different way. I think people always think it has to be this great idea. I'm going to start my business because it's a great idea. But you already brought up that really business is a voice for good and a voice for the community. So if you can, kind of think bigger picture, I think, about what's possible, right?
Anyone with a good head on their shoulders and an entrepreneurial mindset and motivation, there's, like you said, there are lots of boomers getting ready to retire, which is a whole other growing industry in itself. But that's a great opportunity for somebody to come in and continue something that's already great and build it.
Yeah.
So I think that, and maybe kind of shift the focus a little bit to what's happening now with the younger generation.
Sure.
What needs are there now that there weren't 10 years ago, that the business was doing really great? Then how can you shift it and make it even more relevant and better today?
Yeah. And keeping that kind of service mindset. I love to talk about Ernest Next Door because they pivoted during COVID from basically a printing shop to now this entrepreneurial hub and co-warehousing. So that, being open to pivoting, being open to, thinking about business and the impact it can make and how, as a business owner, you really have some responsibility, right? Like you've got to partner with nonprofits. You've got to host events that people, get to celebrate you, or, you're getting to serve your community. So what are some things, if you had to say like keys to success, what do you see entrepreneurs or businesses in the region, like that business is going to make it, that business is doing things right? What kind of things do you see in that way that are like indicators to you of success or long-term success, or right?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but what I do see a lot of, especially here in Asheville, is collaboration.
Yes.
People are building their networks. They are reaching out for help and support. And I think that people are realizing that they don't have to do it all by themselves, because nobody can. Nobody can do that.
Yeah.
So the fact that people are putting themselves out there and willing to share, collaborate, reach out to support organizations for help, and partner, like you said, with other area organizations and even other businesses to, work together. I think that's where people can really shine.
Yeah. And we're so lucky. I think we have to remember it's a small community here. It really is. And it's, our population's 100,000 plus, whatever they say, but really it is a tight-knit community. There's, I get to talk to an editor of a magazine right now that, in some ways where other places I've lived, that felt like, whoa, I can't talk to this person or that person. But here it feels like everybody's willing to have a conversation at least, or have a conversation around, we've been talking about certain issues that impact women specifically. For example, women only get 30% of the media coverage that men get. So if you, as business owners coming around the table and talking about something that is impacting your community, your neighborhood, your business, like people are very open to, having a cup of coffee, sitting down, talking, collaborating. We've been curating some groups of women and to talk about this issue. So that feels special, and that's unique about Asheville, is this really tight knit. Somebody knows somebody that knows the thing that you want to know.
Absolutely.
And you guys are you guys are this great resource for the community. I mean, your calendar's amazing. I love the directory is free. I mean, most places charge for that, right? That's a benefit that you guys offer us as a community. So appreciate that.
Yeah. And I think it's really great. And to add on to what you were talking about the networking and collaboration, I think that since COVID, we've seen a lot of people have to pivot and shift in the way that they operate their business. Whatever models they were using don't apply anymore. So I think that all of these great minds that are so creative, like it's definitely a hub for creative minds.
Yeah.
So when you get all of this in a melting pot and together in these little networking groups, it's really interesting to see how people can shift their business model, but also their mindset and the perspective of like, what does the community need now? So I think we'll see some more of that.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So we talk about how we want to support women in media. So this would be a question for you guys, actually, like, what does that look like? And we've thrown around, do we do a coffee club? Do we do a mixer? But having that kind of space, and as a woman in media, what are some of the challenges you face, some of the stigmas? Because it's tough you're basically an entrepreneurial small business woman, right? But you're a woman in media, and it's not always easy to, be a woman in media, right?
That's true. There have been, not often, but there have been times where I've sat down and interviewed a man, and I feel like sometimes I get talked over, and it's hard to like be assertive and use my big girl voice. But I feel like I'm getting better at that, and I think that that's something that's important to let women out there know too. Like, you got to use your big girl voice,
Yeah,
and put on your pants and put it out there.
Right. And reach out for that coverage. I mean, it's kind of, the onus is not just on you guys, like, okay, get your coverage more balanced. It's on the individual businesses too, to put your stuff out there. Press releases are still real.
Absolutely.
Tag you guys sometimes on a social media post.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm reading, I saw this great article. I know that I've kind of flipped through and made a list of people for myself to reach out to from issues. Because,
awesome.
Because it's like, oh, wow, this person sounds amazing. I want to collaborate with this person. So, really having a proactive, media coverage is not something that's just magically going to happen to you. Right. It really is kind of this, it's got to be a give, right?
Absolutely.
And make your life easier, give you great stories. And the pro tip thing, I'm like, that's genius.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody, especially for women that are accomplishing big things that, whether they've been done before or not been done before by a woman, or are being done in a new way. It could be it could be a small thing, but absolutely share, please fill up my inbox. Okay. And press releases too. Anybody can write a press release. If you don't have the writing skills, there are people out there that can help with writing skills, and just send it out. It may or may not get picked up, but if you have an important announcement or celebration or recognition, award, new idea, new product, new service, whatever it is, like, that's a press release, and that's something that we can definitely talk about.
Absolutely. And then that leads to when you're looking at your issues, you think about that business that reached out 3 months ago. So they're on your radar.
Absolutely.
And, you're like, oh, let's go. They work perfect for this issue.
Absolutely.
And people realize, like you were talking, you have a editorial calendar meeting, coming up, and it's like, you guys are always thinking about what's this next issue going to have in it? What's 2025 issues going to be? So, always having that, trying to build a relationship. I mean, I'm sure some people could take you out to lunch, right? Pick your brain.
I'd be happy to have lunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also, like, if there's something that, like, if you know, or the community knows of something, like if there's an issue that's happening in the community or something, like if somebody wants to hear more about something, like, let me know. Like, I'm happy to, like, always kind of rethink things, and there's always room for potential stories if it's going to be impactful in the business community. If there's a concern or a topic that we're not covering that people want to hear about, like, I would love to know that too.
Right. Yeah. Gosh, my brain's ticking of like, okay, all the issues in the community, sometimes we are heavily small business, but we do feel disparate, right? It's like everybody's hustling so hard and doing their own thing. So you guys kind of provide an opportunity for us to somewhat come together. And if there, what are some of the hot issues people are focused on right now in business? I mean, of course, everybody's waiting to see what happens with the election, and that definitely can make an impact with businesses. But what are some other things you're seeing in this post-COVID recovery that business owners are concerned with? Anything hot, pressing?
I mean, other than what I've already mentioned about, like, workforce.
Right. Transportation has been brought up a lot lately as the people are getting pushed out. That makes it that much harder to get back into town for work, right?
Sure.
That does seem like a major issue with workforce.
Hybrid models, I think, are going to continue to be important.
Yeah.
In and out of the office, or people can hop on a Zoom from anywhere.
Yeah.
So there's no reason, to have someone in the office every single day if they're just working on their laptop.
Right.
So that might be something that people are going to continue to explore, although we've also learned that doesn't work for everybody. A lot of people feel more comfortable in a person-to-person setting where they can knock on the office next door and be like, hey, I've got this concern. What do you think? Or whatever it is.
And the camaraderie and teamwork. I mean, I think the hybrid makes a lot of sense. And we all thought remote was this glorious thing, but I mean, in person, some of the powerful meetings we've even had with small groups, it's like, we need that in person energy, brainstorming, all the things for sure. Okay. So we kind of talked about, like, one of the ways to possibly get coverage is as a neighborhood collaborating on maybe a story. So for example, you guys are supporting our July 20th event. We're having our 2nd anniversary. You guys are one of our sponsors. Thank you so much. And, in this neighborhood alone, there's like 100 businesses. So when you kind of collaborate that way, you look at West Asheville, of course, downtown, but really kind of neighborhood by neighborhood and joining forces sometimes like that. Of course, the Biltmore Village gets all this Christmas coverage because they collaborate and they do the window, painting, and they really kind of play into the whole holiday season. So that seems like a great angle for people to get coverage is, hey, what's going on in the neighborhood? Hey, there's like 5 or 10 of us that are doing this, this, and this. And then, that is way to share your story, I think.
I am interested in kind of deep diving into that because even like looking out, there's the 7th Avenue district in Hendersonville that's undergoing this big renovation, and there's a bunch of businesses in that, a lot of women-owned businesses in that little area. And then Black Mountain is growing. A lot of people are kind of focusing on the Old Fort area, and then also Waynesville. So there's lots of little pockets. And that could be a very interesting target topic.
Yeah, I like that. Is there a up and coming city that we don't like? Maybe people don't realize that is starting to. I mean, you said Old Fort. I think
Old Fort. I've heard the most
there
about
now, and
because it's a little more affordable-esque, and I think that there are people moving out that way, and there are lots of opportunities there.
Yeah. Yeah. Keeping an eye on
Mm.
the hot business areas. And as far as looking ahead at what's coming up, what's the Q3, Q4? What can people expect in the upcoming issues that you have this year?
Q3 will be hitting mailboxes. What's today? Next week.
Okay, nice.
So,
And then where can people pick it up if they are not subscribers yet?
there should be copies at the Asheville Chamber.
Uh-huh.
There's often copies at Hatch, strategically placed coffee shops
Of course.
around,
Uh-huh.
the Hendersonville Chamber. That's on my list too, is to make a list of where can people pick it up, because I keep getting asked that question. But anybody can subscribe online. It'll be delivered to your mailbox for free. We have the weekday newsletter that can also be delivered to your inbox for free. But as far as what's coming up, Q4 is my favorite. It's the Women in Business issue. So last year we had the Women in Business issue. It did really well. We talked about a lot of the support organizations for women business owners. And this year I kind of want to focus on like all of the different like networking groups and how that can be really supportive.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of women have this like there's the competition fear or anxiety around that.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of show how it's not that here. So I want to talk about that and some challenges that women have been over the years constantly struggling with in the workplace, and how people are shifting their mindsets there. And then just some success stories of women powerhouses that are doing awesome things.
Nice.
And then we'll also be talking about the retirement industry, government, nonprofit, and retail, local retail, which is a lot. There's a lot of local retail.
Yeah.
So that's exciting too.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Well, Randy, thank you so much for being our guest today.
It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you for all the work you're doing and all the stories that you're shining a light on. And we so appreciate you, and definitely appreciate the women issue coming out Q4. And can't thank you enough for stepping up to be a sponsor for the July 20th event. Y'all come check it out. We are going to be here 12 to 5. There's going to be food trucks and music, and you're sponsoring some women-owned businesses, and there's 3 other sponsors that are going to be here. So it's going to be a big block party. And next door, Devil's Foot is having their Christmas in July party. So we're playing into that theme. Come shopping, come learn about women-owned businesses, come learn about resources for business owners, bring the family. We've got a DJ, got food trucks. So it's going to be a great party here in the Design District. So thank you so much for being part of that. And thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the 20th. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be great. Thank you very much.
Thank
See you
you.
next time.